series. I think people a little surprised to see ShoWTimE getting defeated earlier, but of course, it's by that young juggernaut, Max Pax, who took him out 2-0. Really looking forward to see him probably take this win over Stephano and cement himself in the upper echelons of players here in Group B.
Yeah, our first player, as Creighton mentioned, possibly the favourite here, although you never know. Representing Berlin International Gamers and Germany, the Red Protoss player, it is ShoWTimE.
And his opponent down to the bottom right-hand side in the blue, representing gamers, origin, and France, and lovers of partying hard everywhere. It is, of course, Ilya Satori, Stephano.
Now, I like to think that I can offer some advice to the young'uns out there, as I am an old man at this point, and my advice would be, if Stephano ever asks you to party, say no.
That is solid advice, Grant. Normally, I'm all about encouraging people to do what they love, but I gotta say, I've seen photos of Stephano partying, and just maybe go to the bar next door.
Yeah, I've spent some time with this young man, and him and one of my favorite people in StarCraft, ex-Dignitas Bling. Bling used to live very, very close to me. And we spent some time together, had some home story cups and things, and Jesus Christ, I've never been the same since.
He knows how to have a good time, but he knows how to play StarCraft as well.
Yeah.
That's sort of the balance we all have to strike in our lives, Grant, is having fun and then getting the work done. And Stephano, certainly a player who can get the work done. I remember he was studying medicine for a while. Is he an engineer now?
He's a software engineer.
Software engineer now, and just an incredibly sharp human being. So he's a lot of fun, but he's also a very serious human once he hits the battlefield here. Opening up with a hatch gas pool means that he's not afraid to play ShoWTimE in a head-to-head. There's no 6 pool. There's no proxy hatch here. It's all standard builds for a solid macro, fingers crossed, game.
I'd love to see a 6 pool from Stephano. Start the game, kill half your workers, make a pool. Perfect.
How good would that be?
That would be great. So ShoWTimE, as expected, is going to open very standard here. He's going to get his Adept. He did go Gate Nexus Core into a very quick Stargate, most likely for an Oracle if it is this early. Although you can never write off the possibility of Void Ray or Phoenix's. Stargate openings are so varied and vast in their potential. Stephano is going to drone up like absolute crazy. One thing, if we have maybe some old fans of StarCraft that are returning, Stephano is not a full-time pro gamer anymore. He's still very good. He still qualifies for these events. I believe he's been in almost every one of these premier events, qualifying through the open bracket stage. But we don't expect him to win it. This isn't 2014, 2013 anymore. Another Adept coming out here. Second one isn't too uncommon, especially if you're going Oracles. You do then run the threat of hitting multiple places at once. And I think this is good for ShoWTimE to really push and test the multitasking here of Stephano. And also, it's very easy to take a third off the back of this opening from our Protoss player.
Absolutely. Easy to take a third and easy to transition out of this Stargate opener. So exciting stuff from ShoWTimE. I tried to sneak these Adepts in. He's not going to get much done, but I really like the way this game is shaping up, Grant. These two players both have incredible control in the mid game. They're old men now. They're like in their early 20s, which in StarCraft is, practically 1 foot in the grave. But they still have incredible micro control. ShoWTimE, of course, known for his defenses, defending against entire armies with a single hero zealot or what have you. So very excited that these guys might have a chance to go for the mid game as the second Oracle pops out here for ShoWTimE, which is a little bit more rare, Grant. The second Oracle play usually reserved for players who are more fans of big Oracles like Geralt.
Yeah, second one I don't think is by any means weird, but this is a little weird, specifically for ShoWTimE. The third one already in the production tab, and now we see ShoWTimE is taking a little bit of a page out of maybe Geralt or Goblin's book, and is going to be a little bit more aggressive. This is going to offer a lot of vision, a lot of control. Oracles are, of course, incredible utility units with all of the abilities that they have. Stasis Ward's great defensively, and Revelations keeping track on everything. We do have Stephano queuing up for a bit of an attack up at ShoWTimE's side. He's got a few lings up there for now. Gonna maybe pick off an Adept or two. And this looks very much like a Geralt game. A bunch of Adepts behind 3 or 4 Oracles. If I was playing blind, I'd be guessing, if I was viewing blind, I'd be guessing this was Geralt.
Sorry, I was very distracted. I just heard my door open up. It's because a rock hit my door. They're doing weed trimming. and I heard a rock hit my door from them doing the weed whacking outside. So sorry, I was a little distracted there for a minute, Grant.
I didn't say much important.
Very scary. Robo facility down for ShoWTimE now, as it looks like he might be teching into a slightly higher tech army behind this. What do you think, Grant? Early Robo Bay for some disruptors, or, well, question answered. Twilight Council, some more gateways.
Yeah, I think for ShoWTimE, this is pretty run-of-the-mill here. We'll probably see him go into Blink and Charge. Very nice set to stop the fourth going down. ShoWTimE's done a good job of maintaining control. And one thing I've said about Stephano is he's not a player who will make too many drones. As we can see here, he likes to make a lot of units. He likes to have control of the map. And he does forego going up to the 70s of drones in that scenario. Guys, we do have a pause. I'm going to cut to us, Creighton. Just so the players can talk and we can go see what's going on. Stephano can't see anything rude. Hopefully it is just a very temporary issue. He does now say sorry, go. We're just going to wait for the referee to unpause and we will get back into this. So, as I was saying, Stephano is a player who, at about the 6-minute mark, you want to be getting into your mid-60s of drones. Stephano is now starting to push up there, but he likes to have a lot more lings on the map in the early game.
Yeah, that's going to be a bit of a problem for him. He's already lost 16 lings, which, if my math is correct, Grant, is 8 larvae. And that means it's 8 larvae fewer of drones that he's got. Yes, he's going into a Hydralisk Den, and like Lurker Hydra can be a decent composition to save those larva later in the game. But if he stays on like Ling Bane Hydra for a while, which is a viable build against Protoss these days, he's going to run into some problems probably in the mid to late game with his inject cycles, not quite having enough larva around. So going to be tough for Stephano to really maintain this. And these oracles, not only getting in and killing 6 drones is great, but more importantly, Grant, they have now seen both the Infestation Pit and the Hydralisk Den. ShoWTimE seeing everything that Stephano was hoping to hide.
Yeah, ShoWTimE did a really, really nice job there. And as I said, with Stephano's style of play and the way he chooses to execute his build, he runs relatively low on drones. And if you can kill a few, then he's going to be running even lower, which means ShoWTimE's never going to be too far up behind in terms of income. In fact, right now he is mining considerably more, despite the fact there's a few less workers. Doing a good job there. ShoWTimE adding on Storm, getting a lot of Immortals out, and is going to look to try and play a ground-based composition, it seems, against Lurkers. Can be very scary. We saw this happen on the Sunday, where a lot of Immortals and stuff just absolutely disappeared, especially if our Zerg player can get Vipers on the field.
Yeah, interesting here. ShoWTimE not going for a Robo Bay at all, Grant. Instead, sticking on this composition supported by the oracles. He's going to start pushing down the south side. I think you're right. He is just going to go ahead and take the advantage now. He is ahead technically in army supply. His army much more gaseous than Stephano's army, which means it's slightly higher tech. So this is a very scary little push from ShoWTimE. And I feel like if he wanted to push into that third base, he could have actually gotten some legitimate damage done there. I think he's going to play the safer route though and back off. Probably a smart play in the long run.
Yeah, he's going to start punishing, it looks like, the relatively immobile army of Stephano with some drops. If that Prism does ever decide to go on its little, its merry way for now, just sitting back. The Oracle's continuing at the other side of the map, finding more and more damage. They have now killed a total of 14 drones this game, which isn't anything to scoff at. Stephano, as you can see, still down in the mid-70s instead of in the 80s, which is where ShoWTimE is. Now, Stephano does have a very good army, and he is now getting those Lurkers, Seismic Spines on the way. Groove Spines, I'm sure, as well, will be coming. Lots of Lings coming in, upgrades pretty good, and there is the transition that we kind of are more used to against a player playing like this, and that is going to be the Stargates.
Yeah, that's what ShoWTimE has been sort of angling for a while now. A little surprised that it took this long to get it down, but I think he wanted to make sure he had a ground army in case Stephano would decide to build a bunch of Hydras in secret and try to take him out here. You don't want to get caught by an awkward timing, and then the commentators are like, oh, he was so busy building infrastructure, he forgot to build units. Classic mistake there from ShoWTimE. You never want that to happen, because I know the players care a lot about what I think about how they play, Grant, because I'm such a well-respected StarCraft player.
More than they care about the money.
He is transitioning now. Carrier 1, Carrier 2, and Carrier 3 on the way, Grant. We will see this going into a very classic late-game PvZ now. Carriers, Tempests, Storm, up against Hydra, Lurker, Ling.
And this, right now, as a Protoss player, is what we call squeaky bum time. Because right now, ShoWTimE is just hoping nothing happens. He just needs about 2 minutes. So what he's going to do is he's going to try and execute elsewhere on the map. Things like these run-bys, having his army up towards the north, pushing back creep to keep Stephano at home, to keep him burrowed. This is all time that carriers are being chronoed out. +1 is being pushed out as well. And as soon as the carriers hit 4, 5, 6, 7, ShoWTimE will feel very, very comfortable with the game. Stephano doesn't know about this yet, as far as I am aware, and that could be a little scary. But I am afraid Stephano maybe is being too passive now. He is going to have just a huge amount of bases, a huge amount of lava to work for. But does he have any Vipers yet? No. Does he have really anything apart from only 15 Hydras, which really isn't that great? Hydras aren't bad against carriers, but they're definitely not phenomenal. And Storms as well underneath to support makes this a very scary time. Stephano, I think, has identified that things are a little bit spooky right now. Does look like he's going to try and go for it. Carriers in the air, the number not too high, Creighton.
No, not too high at all. And as you said, Grant, not the most terrifying army. 3 carriers by themselves, not the scariest thing in the world. We've got more coming out, but this is a good timing for Stephano to go ahead and attack. He's got his +2, +1 finished up for those Hydras and Lurkers. And even though ShoWTimE's at +2 attack, he's only at +1 air attack right now. So the carriers are not really at full strength. Nice storms the northern flank there, and he doesn't lose any high Templar to the Lurkers, which very often happens if you let those Templar just go without controlling the backside here. But carriers moving in the backside, and with not enough Hydras here, Grant, these carriers are going to do plenty of damage.
Yeah, and this is Stephano forced back. He lost a lot. If we take a look at the battle report here, we can see no carriers have gone down. Stephano losing 8, 9 lurkers, and the number continuing to grow. All of these lurkers are going to go down, it seems like, Creighton. That's a big, big loss. Behind us, Stephano is now making 23 Hydralisks, but the carrier count has hit critical mass. It is soon to be closer to 10, and they are going to have +2 +1 air weapons and +1 shields, which means they can stand and fight specifically with storm support against the Hydralisks. And I'm very, very scared right now for Stephano, because ShoWTimE here's hit that holy shit Protoss army, and just take a look. There's too many interceptors to target them down one by one. Hydras melt like butter, and ShoWTimE is all in control right now.
Absolutely. Very, very terrifying stuff. And we've got those Hydras trying to retreat, but Stephano actually with a really awkward movement pattern here. I think that was a misrally, actually, with the Hydras coming up this side of the ramp through this little ramp here, or through across the bridge, rather than joining up with the rest of the Hydras here in the middle of the map. So, again, if you pull up the battle report or even the units lost tab, you'll just see that it's been a highly efficient game for ShoWTimE so far, showing almost no signs of weakness. He's gotten past the dangerous sort of convergence point in his play where he's not as much in danger as he was before. And from here on out, it ought to be gravy for our boy ShoWTimE.
To put that into perspective, 2 Zealots and a High Templar died for 21 Hydralisks. That's not a bad trade. We don't argue with those. Oh, now the Revelation's coming down as well. Means more and more of these Lurkers die. Once the Lurkers die, the High Templars can move forward. Once the High Templars move forward, bad weather rains down on Hydralisk. These light units melt underneath it. There's loads of High Templars still in the back. They're doing a good job as they have hit critical mass themselves. And actually, Creighton, there's not many interceptors left, but there's a whole bloody bunch of storms, and that is going to make this very, very scary for our Zerg player to move forward. He's splitting like a Terran player, trying to limit how many shots and how much distance these interceptors have, but there's just not going to be enough. The carrier count too high, and the upgrades are not quite good enough here for these Hydras. Stephano's fighting valiantly, but he's still up against a brick wall.
Yeah, don't get fooled by what ShoWTimE's doing here. He knows exactly what he's doing, Grant. In the first portion of that fight, he target fired down all the Lurkers to make sure there was no ground damage. And now look what he's doing, warping in more and more Zealots to keep up with all the Hydras that are left. No Lurkers in the field meant that it was a little scary for those carriers because the Hydras were able to get plenty of shots on the interceptors, but there were still plenty of carriers all left over. None of the carriers actually went down, and now the Hydra count is just too low. This is going to be GG almost certainly any second here from Stephano.
Not a single dead carrier in this game of StarCraft 2, Creighton, and that is just unbelievable. A lot of interceptors have died, but that's just so cheap. They reproduce slowly, but they've done the job, and GG, just like that, ShoWTimE goes up 1-0.
They reproduce slowly, but they've done their job. You sound like me talking to my Drosophila in high school biology class, Grant. Little joke for all you bio nerds out there.
Not me.
No? You never had to breed fruit flies in high school?
No.
We got to breed fruit flies in high school. It was super cool.
That's exciting.
It was a lot of fun. It really was. I got way into it.
Do you put on some romantic music, some Marvin Gaye for the little flies and...
Well, yeah, it was tough. It was tough because I was in jazz band also, and we hired the jazz band to come into the biology lab while they were mating. And I was doing what did I do? I did.
Let's get it on.
Yeah, no, we didn't have Marvin Gaye in our repertoire. We were doing we did Stormy Weather to start with, which is a nice one. And then we did the classic When I Fall in Love, it will be forever. Like that one. Gorgeous. And obviously, I got some breeding happened with those fruit flies real fast.
Yeah, I bet. I think right now you got some breeding going on with your co-commentator after that singing. Okay.
You're welcome, buddy. You're welcome.
Deep breath. Getting all hot and flustered. Need a cold shower.
Juggernaut, our next map, Grant, and Stephano didn't look good in that last game. Can we be honest with ourselves?
Yeah.
Botched engagements, got scouted too easily, uninspired unit composition, unbalanced unit composition, just sort of everything going wrong. That said, it's not because he's a bad player. It's because ShoWTimE is so damn good. I think you just made him look a little outclassed there in the previous match. Yeah,
there was a small window of opportunity we saw up at the north side when there was only 3 carriers that maybe Stephano could have took, but it was a very small window and he came a little bit too late. Window had shut, 6 carriers are out, and Stephano wasn't able to do it. I do think ShoWTimE, one of the absolute best in the world at controlling an army like that, so we can't sit there and go, man, this is unbalanced, because maybe someone like Cyril doesn't lose to that. Can I not press buttons? Hello. How about back in? There we go. Now I can update the score and we will hop into game 2. Why don't you introduce our first player, Graham?
I'd be glad to, Grant. Spawning on the bottom left-hand side here in the blue, representing France and the Team Gamers Origin. It is Stephano.
And it's on the top right, representing Germany and the Berlin International Gamers. The red Protoss player, it is Tamawa ShoWTimE.
Gorgeous.
So let's talk about what Stephano can do differently, because it is difficult to play against a Protoss player who can sit back and play the late game that well. I think maybe Stephano needs to attempt more of a timing, possibly. He did, as we say, make a lot of lings early that really didn't do anything. They found 0 damage apart from an adept or 2. When you make 16 lings instead of 8, you've thrown away a lot of lava. That's a lot of drones. That slows you down considerably. There is, of course, a knock-on effect to not having those drones early. And ShoWTimE was able to just power up too much. So ShoWTimE, usually in a PvZ or a TvZ, we say it is the non-Zerg's job to slow down the Zerg. I think it might be a bit backwards in this series, and our Zerg player needs to slow down our Protoss.
I think so. You can't just let him control the game, man.
No.
It's absolutely insane. I love reading Twitch chat. These two casters don't seem to synergize that well. Grant, apparently we're not synergizing very well. Did you turn on your synergy button this morning? Did you flip the switch?
No, I forgot. I didn't charge up my synergy remote, so it's out of batteries. We've only been doing this together for 2 years, man.
Today was your day to flip the switch, Grant. Did you forget?
Yeah, I forgot to set my synergy alarm.
That's why. Okay, we'll fix it for tomorrow, guys. Sorry.
Yeah. Shut up.
Idiots. Natural down for ShoWTimE, and he's going to get his tier 2 tech out here pretty quick. He's got both gases taken, Grant. You think it's Stargate again this game?
I think it would be silly for ShoWTimE not to go for a Stargate. Yeah, it's so safe, and that is what ShoWTimE is known as. He is Demour, the wall, for a reason, because he doesn't take a lot of early game risks. We have seen him take them in the past, but it's uncharacteristic from our Protoss player. He wants to sit back, absorb all of the pressure, and then like the Black Panther, with his suit, when he takes all the hits and he can bounce it back. That's what ShoWTimE wants to do. He wants to absorb all the pressure and then explode outwards and just win the game with one big push. Stephano, as we said, probably needs to mix it up a little bit. So far, we are seeing him making a good few drones. He's getting speed. He's got his third hatchery up at a very standard time. He's going to get a whole bunch of queens because he's a European Zerg. And right now, we're sort of in the calm before the storm, I'd say, Creighton.
Yeah, I think we absolutely are. Just in the calm before the storm. I'd love to see ShoWTimE going for double Stargate Void Ray. I don't think it's going to happen, though, man. He's just too cautious of a player. Have you ever seen ShoWTimE cheese before? Like when was the last time you actually saw him go for a crazy proxy something?
once or twice in many years. Already, ShoWTimE will be feeling pretty content. Did he lose 2 Oracle? Oh, okay, he does lose 2 Adepts for 2 drones. Not fantastic. He has traded away some map control, especially down on the ground, but he does have an Oracle in the air and a second one already on the way. It does mean if he wanted to do that same push with 5 or 6 Adepts and 3 Oracles, it's lost a little bit of its oomph, its pressing power here. But ShoWTimE still, he's in an okay spot. He's probing up like crazy. He's getting some more gateways. The second Oracle is on the way, and I wouldn't be surprised to see a third. It is not in the Q card just yet, and he doesn't actually quite have the money for it, but we may see that one come out before too long. He did it in game 1. There we go.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Third one coming out now, and I think you're right. I think you watched some Geralt before this game. It's just like, you know what? I think Geralt is not only handsome and intelligent and has a great apartment, but is also a pretty damn good StarCraft player. I'll be honest, last game I was a little surprised at how much ShoWTimE was able to get done with those 3 Oracles. I kind of thought Stephano would be able to defend a little bit better, but he just kind of dropped the ball. I don't know how many drones he lost
12.
to that many Oracles, but it was a ton. It was way too much. Those Oracles definitely found value. I love the earlier robo this game from ShoWTimE as well.
Yeah, everything ShoWTimE's doing is he's making great inroads into this game. One thing I'll say is when you play the same build, the same strategy twice in a row, you can learn from it. You can adapt. Usually as the build happens, you go, oh, I didn't do this right. I didn't take my 5th and 6th gas at the right time. Maybe I should have gone Spire. And it's too late to fix that. But you realize that as the game goes on, you have time to think in these games and time to learn. And now we're going to see if Stephano does adapt. And already we're seeing something a bit different here, Creighton. Baneling Nest on the way, +1 melee weapons on the way. This isn't going to be Hydra Lurker, at least not yet.
No, he skipped the Baneling Nest last game, and going for the +1 melee attack is pretty big tell, and he wants to go for Ling Bane. It's going to be really, really tough, though, Grant, because remember last game we were talking about how many Zerglings he'd made early and how many Zerglings he'd lost. He's already lost 10 Zerglings, which is obviously 5 drones that are not. But I think with these 3 Oracles out for ShoWTimE, he's going to lose a lot more drones. They're going to have to be replaced, and that's very, very difficult to do when you're trying to go for a build that requires a lot of larva. So I'm a bit concerned right now that Stephano's going to run into sort of technical production problems later in the game. And look, man, if you're playing ShoWTimE, you cannot run into you can't run into a supply block or into a larva block early in the game like that. It's going to be real tough to recover. The Hydra Den coming down now, but that might just be in response to the Oracles. I'm really not sure.
I think he's aiming to play Lingbane Hydra and go for a more Hydralisk-based composition. Lurkers, obviously ShoWTimE was well versed and well practiced against Lurkers. His transition, we maybe said, is it too late? I mean, after that first game, I don't think we can criticize anything. This game, we're going to see a bunch of gates, 6 more on the way, going up to a total of 9. There is the 10th gate. So probably 3-4 base push coming in here from ShoWTimE, but I do like Lingbane Hydra against this. It's pretty good at defending. Hydras are very, very good when they have some time to just get off unchecked DPS, and Banelings force micro, which means the Protoss army is not fighting, and the Hydras are doing that unchecked DPS. So I like this, and already this is a very nice start here for Stephano in terms of any defense or aggression. If he can kill the Immortal and a whole bunch of these Adepts, and he's trading okay. Not phenomenal, but okay. Oh, that's different though.
Goodness gracious. 2 nice little wins here for Stephano, not only sniping that Immortal outside the 4th base rather, but also grabbing 15 probes here at the 12 o'clock. Man, it's phenomenal, Grant. That is exactly what Stephano needed to put himself on the edge this game, and he is going to find it like Bono. He's going to be on the edge this game, and he's going to be in a really nice spot now. ShoWTimE has to be a little bit more aggressive, and now Stephano is controlling the conversation, Grant. He's controlling this game, and he's able to go out and do these attacks that he otherwise would not be able to do because ShoWTimE would be able to defend so much more easily.
Yeah, and we're seeing Stephano really, put his foot on the gas here. He's sending a whole bunch to the other side of the map, and it's going to be quite difficult, I think, for ShoWTimE to hold. Now, Stephano needs to make sure he rallies correctly at home to deal with this pressure, because this is going to be very frustrating. But look, this base will be cancelled. A whole bunch of pylons going down. This is a big supply block here for the Protoss player. That is, it's not going to be broken anytime soon, which means no more Warpins. Is Storm done, Creighton?
Storm Grant is not done yet. It's not even started. ShoWTimE has had to cut a couple corners to get this game where he wanted to be, and now he's forced to cancel his 4th base. Stephano really doing a nice job of taking control. As soon as he cleans up these zealots in the main, he's going to be in a much better spot. But he's lost a few drones behind this, and it will slow him down a tad.
Yeah, another warping coming in, a little bit of a mistake there, but Stephano has now defended. He's managed to save a whole bunch of Hydras. He cancelled the 4th. He didn't get a 5th down behind all of this. That would have been the final sort of big win if he'd managed to do that. He did have the money for a little bit, but was very concentrated on his defense instead of his macro. And Stephano's creep isn't world class, I'm afraid to say. So he's not able to get across the map and punish just with his Hydras very, very quickly. But the good news for him is the AoE in this army composition right now is Archons. Archons aren't very good against concave Hydras because they can't zap them all at the same time. Great against Lings, of course, that bunch up. But Banelings as well. This is a scary push for ShoWTimE to deal with. Look at the army supply, and +2 very close to done here for Stephano.
Yeah, it's a dangerous time. Dangerous timing for Stephano. 22 more Banelings on the way. He does set off that first stasis board very nicely. Just a handful of Lings, and look at this. Finds a different angle. He has got plenty of space now to split up the army of ShoWTimE. And ShoWTimE's army moves pretty slowly here. These Archons are good, but they're beefy boys, Grant, and they're going to be a little bit slow to respond. And I love that Stephano is pressuring 2 places at the same time.
Yeah, he just needs to wait for his window of opportunity. It looks like he's just going to take his own, though. Banelings crashing into the Archons, really not finding much there at all. But the Hydras, as I said, that unchecked DPS. What is hitting Hydras right now, Creighton? Nothing. 1 Photon Cannon. The Archons are not able to get in. There are some Banelings stuck here. Oh, and a big, big Zealot flank. Exactly what was needed here from ShoWTimE to kill a bunch of these Hydras. ShoWTimE has just managed to hold. That flank was so important for him. And now a whole bunch of Lings going down. We have 12 more Hydras and 30 more Lings on the way, but ShoWTimE takes a supply lead. What a turn, what a fight there from the German Protoss player.
Terrifying, Grant. Absolutely terrifying. We talk a lot about Banelings on our streams because they're such a unique unit. I was on the Pylon show with Artosis a while ago, and somebody asked him what single unit would unbalance the game the most if it was changed, and he said the Baneling because it's such a high impact unit. And how many games have you and I cast together, Grant, where a Zerg player invests in 10, 15, 20, 50 Banelings and then doesn't get enough done with them, and that's enough to swing the tide of battle completely in their opponent's favor. ShoWTimE simply was able to defend. The Banelings hit the Archons, but they were underneath the shadow of those shield batteries, which saved them, and they stayed alive in the fight. I think he only lost, 2 Archons that fight or something?
Something like that, yeah. They stayed alive a really, really long time. A lot of them were very low, and if we'd have seen, 5, 6, 7, 8 more Hydras, it would have been a very different story. Of course, it's not the kind of thing that Stephano could afford. Now, Stephano's still in an okay spot. His upgrades are still good. He's now starting to get ranged upgrades. He's not been able to find any counter pressure, really. Like, Baneling run-bys haven't been particularly possible. But on the other side of this, also, ShoWTimE's not been able to expand much. He's still only on 4 bases, as is Stephano, who's trying to get his 5th. He's not been able to move into... Did he ever get Storm? Oh, yeah, he did. Okay, good. I was going to say, so brave if he didn't. And now we have a big push come into the 4th base. But the defense, this is why it's called Demour. You just cannot break him.
Yeah, he's just so damn good. Little Dropper Lord action here in the 4th, but unfortunately for us... I just had an army there to defend just a moment ago, so he's more than prepared for that. And Stephano's going to set up for yet another fight. But this is a lot like a wave slapping against the beach, Grant. The wave is going to be gone soon, and the beach will still be there.
Oh, the storms on the south side were huge. On the north side, Hydra is not just doing a good enough job. And just like that, GG, the defense comes